Welcome to Pirate Rich Paints. This quiet Friday evening. That's cool. Right, tonight we get to paint this bad boy. Bit of explain to do. It's SPR07. It's one of the priests from Griffin Beast. I think he's called Lick My Hand. Okay, he comes with this staff, as you can imagine, and I've added his hand. That hand, as you can see, is just usually outstretched, as you've usually got that there. I'll probably have to say this again in a minute as people start watching. So, not really a conversion, just a hand swap. And I added this head. Not sure where I got the head from. It's been hanging around for a little while in my bit box, and I thought, oh, it's gonna look good. Now, I can use this as the warlord for our Age of Magic horde warband. That's why I wanted it with a weapon rather than a staff. Evening cubes, as you can see. Yeah, so I thought it'd be interesting, rather than painting as a whom, is actually give him a green skin, make him a bit different, because the warlord in the horde in the book, you can do the mounted, so I can get another warlord miniature as well, and then obviously I've got the choice then. What I can do is grab one of the Midnight Olive, which is a very dark olive, out of the olive greens. So it goes below the woodland camo that yeah, so we'll start with that. I just thought it'd be different to do a different warlord, and then that's the thing with this saga, you want a couple of warlords. I think the warlord could be mounted or mounted for a chariot in the horde. So I thought, well, when I want a foot warlord, I can use this guy. And when I'm using the mounted warlord, I can use this guy as a priest sort of magic user type. But he is a cracking miniature. Either way, I just wonder what it'd be look like, because they don't actually do a Uruk or anything like that commander. Although there is some in the Uruk half guard miniatures with a cloak, so you could use one of those as a warlord, in fairness. But I thought, why not try something different? Might not be everyone's cup of tea, but fantasy is not everyone's cup of tea anyway, is it? I tried it with a human head, and I thought it was going to look a bit odd. I just thought, well, he's obviously just done a sacrifice of some sort of diabor. Yeah, this miniature is quite interesting. It comes in two halves. You just glue it together, and then the hands. This hand is obviously when it's got the staff usually. Cool. So we start with. Oh, actually, in the. I'm a bit okay to grab the blanchy stuff now because it's all been released and you can grab it. So I'm going to go for the ironclad grey, which is a slightly darker grey. Swore it with that. Get that medium going. Oh, pardon me. Excusez-moi, s'il vous plaît. Yeah, so that's all good fun. I think, is it next weekend, the Newbury show, I think? Is it the 6th? Next weekend? Or was it the weekend after? The weekend after, I think. Yeah. And that's a good thing about doing the Age of Magic is that you can let your imagination run wild. I started looking at the army list. There's a couple of options. You don't have to run them as the Horde. You can run them as other stuff as well. That's the neato thing as well. Yeah. Let's go with. Let's use the dark. There's a darker brown as well, I think. Oh no, it isn't. The other ones are. Well, I think it is. Yep, so you've got oak brown and the one darker now it is banshee brown. I noticed they're doing the triad separate now, and I think the ones that have got extra, I think they're adding them to the box as far as I could spot. They've also just released the what do you call it? It's the speed paint in the pens. do like the idea of being able to use this guy as the warlord or the magician. Although, in fairness, I am a bit of a sucker for a chariot, and I have got the old Grenadier Wolf chariot in the drawer, so that might be converted with some Ragnarok minis, or I might just grab the picked chariot or something like that. So this will be the last week on the Age of Magic. Ha ha ha. We're on it a few weeks now, aren't we? Yeah. So I'm just really thinning this brown. Well, all these base colours are going on thin, as you can see. We've done our usual Zenithal undercoat with the Vallejo black with grey over the top. When you thin out this paint, you see it hitting over the. That's how thin it is, look. You can see. Of course, when you're zapping over the top of the Zenithal, the dark areas are going to give us some free shading. We all love a bit of free shading. No, and we're going to do a different brown on that one, so he's a bit triple tones. I'm just going to put some washes over it and stuff and blend it all in and all that good stuff. So this is the Brigadine Brown, which is the ones that I usually use for the working up leather. What we're going to do in a minute is we're going to, as soon as these are dry, we're going to layer a nice dark brown wash all over it before we start building any highlights in. Sure. And what's we got? Our pants. Let's get a little rubbishy brush, and we'll water that initial grey right down. And just do the now the horde faction has got a special horde ability of I think it's like a sacred rock, so you could really find something like I've got at the back there and build a. It's a bit of a strange rule, but so what I ought to do once they're all together, I should do a kind of I call it a showcase video, I suppose is the best. Just what we've painted, and then that one I'll go through the army list as well. So I've got a couple of different ideas of how to use these guys. I swapped over to the rubbishy brush. Just basically I'm not painting anything. I just hit some brown onto his boots. I picked some of that out in different colours. So that's our basic colours. Let's do the start with Prairie Ochre. This is for the haft of his axe. Leave that. Okay, I'm just thinking of other stuff we can work while that's drying. Yeah, beep, beep, beep. Okay, so we use dark olive, so I believe the next one is woodland camo. So we'll start working up the highlights of his fleshy. So we're just going to hit that forehead. He's kind of, I mean, just got a nice sculpt face. It's kind of got a ruined eye as well because it's the seer. It's got a big giant scar. We were just in Beast Towers and Darren was sorting out the warband for the orcs, the Uruks, and I said, "Oh, I need a warlord miniature," and yeah, there's a few ideas of I come up with, but this seemed to be the. I don't think he knew that I was going to put a boar head on it and change the spear for an axe. Yeah, he's I think he's going to work quite well. Yeah, he looks like the sort of thing that would have dominion over orcs, and you know what I mean. Even though he's got all the magic, he's also quite a big. So I'm just having a slurp of my coffee, which was delivered just before we came on. Right, I'm just finding the strong tone is the one we want. So this is the brown with black in it as well. Get your crappy brush, add a bit of medium to the brush, into the thing. I'm going to give him a good. I'm going to go round the face, I'm not going to go on the face. So we're just going to darken up the areas around it. This is going to kind of strengthen up what we've done with the zenithal, and then we can start working our highlights. If you wanted, you could just blast it in one colour. It certainly would get you there quicker. But I'll just remind you of the this is your warlord, so let's make him look cool. It's quite a challenge sometimes, I think, when you're painting, especially when you get like a miniature that's like this, pretty open and obvious. There's not too much detail on him. Well, there's not an overabundance of detail, so you can actually paint him really quick if you wanted to. I'm also going to lay this brown over the dark grey as well, giving him that grubby look. But it'd work equally as well if you went back over there with the black wash. You have to excuse me if I'm a little bit quiet tonight, you have to let me know. I had a band practice last night and we had a new guitarist, so we were trying to do songs that he knew. So I didn't have my usual warm-up songs nicely laid out for me. Going straight into 2 Black Sabbath songs at the start of a 2-hour rehearsal is not a great plan, but hey ho. Okay, so I'm happy with that now. Have another quick slurpy slurp of coffee. So now let's take the next skin tone up, which is camouflage green. Just going to work that flesh all the way through the olives. Medium in there. Again, we're going to just highlight that forehead. He's got a wicked, wicked face. Yeah, I've painted this one a couple of times, and I always enjoy myself on this one. We've got that dark grey. I'm going to drop it on the boar. So I'm going to go for a kind of... I was thinking of like a white boar, but I think I'll do like a grey and black one, just so it's different from the brown. So lay this dark grey on the bald, skin areas, I suppose. I was just thinking whether to do some flesh on there. That might look cool, mightn't it? Do like a dark, fleshy colour. Well, let's just carry on with the grey for a minute. You can always change it if we need to. On there, say I've gone there very thin, so looks like you're in the chat room on your own tonight there, Kubler. I forgot to earlier, it's bank holiday weekend. But hey ho, we will soldier on regardless. It's not about quantity, is it? It's all about quality. You're a small and perfectly formed chat room, my friend. No one's going to steal that #1 badge off you tonight. Just going to strengthen some of the... Right, let's go to olive drab. Let's get my skin tone knocked off whilst the rest of his washes is drying. Are you painting anything tonight? If anyone's doing any painting, let us know in the chat room. Have a chat with Kubler so he doesn't get lonely. So as you can see, as we're going up the highlight, I'm staying inside the area I've already highlighted. We're just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Nice. Nice. So I thin that paint out on the. Just taking little bits of paint at a time, using right the tip of the brush. His face. He's really working as an orc. Sorry, a rock. Still lots to dry in there, so I can't really play with that yet. I can play with some of those ropes, so let's use, I don't know, some dusty skull or something like that. Sort of a orange or olivey brown. It's a bit like a skull colour. So notice there's a few skulls down on the bottom. I can possibly base them in as well. I mean, that's the art of speeding up your paint, is always find something to do. Otherwise you kind of paint yourself almost into a corner. Wow, they do fly, mate. Time flies when you're having fun. Tempest Fugit. Tempest Fugit? Time flies? In front of the little skull on there. Suppose best let you know what I'm doing, Andy, didn't I? You missed the start, which is fine. I'm not getting at you. So what we're doing tonight is we're finishing off the horde warband orky one we've been doing with the warlord. And what I've got here is he's actually one of the Viking priests from Griffin Beast. I think he's code SPR07, I believe, affectionately known as Lick My Hand. See, he's got that hand thingy going on there. I've added the skull of the boar and the axe. He usually comes with that for his hand, so he's very much a like Viking seer. I thought he'd make a rather interesting orc. So that's what I went with. And there you are, bang up to date. I thought this, I usually do like leather, but I thought I'd do it like a bronze. Use the gold to make it, because as Kubler knows, I like to use a bit of greedy gold. That's what you call it. He's fast to catch up, isn't it? Get that greedy gold. Just thinning it a little bit. Just a bit of medium on my brush. Metallic is quite thick, but you don't want it to be too thin. So then it kind of almost falls apart. You end up with let's do that. Certainly won't be many warlords, but I'd say it just gives us that versatility that if you want to get another warlord miniature, we can use this as the priest, or magic user, shaman, whatever you want to call him. It's good to have miniatures like this around that you can just multi-purpose. Okay. What's that? Original dark olive still about? We're gonna. There's some kind of vines and bits and pieces on the base. We're just gonna. Once we've got the paint at hand. That's a snake. That's a rat. Some sort of leaf, I think. So. Wow. Well, that was do you see us on Facebook, Andy? Just send us you must have got some photographs, surely. That's of course if you want to share them. If you go on Facebook and just message me the pictures. And if you want, I can put them up on the Facebook site. So or I could send them on to Kubler, or vice versa. That's cool. You do you, boo. You do you, boo. I don't know. Okay, so we're going to grab some matte black because there's a big black spider on the front of the base. Yeah, so as I said, this is the end of our run of Age of Magic. So next Friday, if it's not the show, I don't think it is. I think that's the Friday after. There's a rat in there, so we do the black. We'll do a nice black rat. Yeah. I keep interrupting myself. I said this earlier, didn't I, Cubes? You know what I mean? I keep distracting myself. That's weird. It's probably because I'm one of those untrustworthy pirates. Arr. You convinced them. Arr. So, next week. Next week. And the imminent release of Air Corsair from Gripping Beast. I think their Kickstart starts, I believe it's the end of the month, but I'll let you know exactly. You'll see them in things. They're doing a Kickstarter, and they've got 4 factions, I think they call them, not warbands, but there's basically 4 of them that Griffin Beast are sorting out. Yeah, I've got WhatsApp. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So Beastie Boys will be getting me the 4 factions that are on the Kickstarter, and I thought I'll do a kind of an unboxing paint along of those. And they're all, in fairness, they're all you having fun there, Andy? As long as you're having fun and not getting arrested, you'll be all right. I'm just stacking as much of this flesh wash as I can onto that gold. Where is my fish? That's the voice I got going through my head then. Where is it now? Okay. And I'm going to get the black wash out. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's cool. That should be alright then. I should have a look when the phone becomes my control again. It's so just put a bit of black wash onto the axe there, and we just run it over. Mr. Biggie. I think I'm just gonna darken that bottom bit down. It's got all the dirt of the other one, so I'm just gonna run some of this into the crevices at the bottom. There we go. I'm not going for a complete coverage. I'll just let the the brown sit as well. Because why not? Just a bit of brown on. That's the brown wash still in the palette. Just get that rope a bit more. That's cool. And then we go to the highest highlight on the flesh, I think. Oh no, we were. Go to necrotic flesh. Yeah, because there was an extra one because we started one lower, didn't we? So this would be highlight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So well, it's such a little bit of flesh, you can sort of do the extra, get the extra mile on there. Shading it up because it's such small areas, but now we're getting down just to touching just like the eyebrow and across the top of the cheek. So you can really be picky now. So we just want the actual knuckles themselves there. Yeah, so I tried like a human head in there from like a few kicking around. Not a real human head, obviously, but it looked a bit normal, really, bit sort of. Let's just chuck some of that brown on that skull. A bit around this plant life. Yeah, see where we've only done very thin layers of this brown and then washed it, and then because it's over a xenophore as well, it's as if you've done a lot more work than you have in it. See what I mean? But we're gonna do a little bit more. So we can hit the ruddy browns. We started with the darker one. Now we go to oak brown. We're going to hit it with some matte medium. So nice and thin. I'm going to start hitting areas where, and I kind of can dot the brush around because there's lots of texture on this fabric. So if you let the brush just almost like bounce, tiny little bounces. Yeah, that's why I thought, well, let's give him a proper boar's head. It'll work better for the fiendish plan I have at the end. Do it, make it all gory. So basically I'm just working around, leaving doing our peaks and valleys. So we're leaving all the original dark goodness in the valleys, and we're just picking those peaks out. We could have left it as it was, because it's kind of going to give you a very tabletop look anyway. But as ever, because it's the warlord, we're going to give it some extra juice. This is your warband's poster boy, you know what I mean? Okay. So now, that mid brown we got there, that was Brigadine, so next we go to Bootstrap. Picking the areas the highest, leaving those valleys nice and dark. Not going right up underneath that recess, because patch just up underneath there. Okay. How are we doing? Well, nice of you to join us, Rich. As you can see, we're using into deep grey, because we had the ironclad grey before. Nice bit of medium in there, get nice and thin. I'm going to start just working those peaks, leaving the valleys. Yeah, this is I think I surprised Darren with a choice for this miniature for the warlord. Nice. Just gonna go back around with the grey. Ooh. How to get the best paint consistency? Right, okay. That all depends on a lot of stuff. So this might be a bit of a long waffly answer that you'll get a different answer off different people. If you ask Duncan Rhodes, 2 thin coats, and you can't go really very wrong if you're thinning your paints. So consistency at the moment on that one, which is like a second layer, my paint is that thin. Whereas if I want to go and go around again, I'll add some more medium. I'm using a wet palette. Let me slide them onto the camera for you. There we go. So as you can see, I got the dark. That's the first grey I used. That's the second grey I used. That is actually the same grey as that, but just with that medium added into it to make it nice and thin. As in a noob, yeah, is who cares if you're a noob or not? Just enjoy yourself. That's the main thing. Don't have to start with a wet palette. You can make your own wet palette. There's loads of decent videos about to do that. Don't panic too much about having a wet palette, but something to put your paint on rather than use it. If you're using Games Workshop out the tubs, you're going to need a palette to put some medium in. The medium, there's a little video if you look at my channel about the matte medium I make, but you can buy that's the retarder. Look, that's the wash medium, but if you buy army paint stuff, you can buy medium. Games Workshop, the one called Lamia medium. If you can't get that, a little dash of water. So we can show you what I mean on this wet palette. Let's stop painting that for a minute and just answer your question because it's important. Let's grab some random colour. So as you see out of the pot, it's quite a blob. And if we paint, that's the thickness of the paint coming out of the pot. So let's add some medium to that. Water. So a brushful, 2 brushfuls, and you can already see that paint is starting to bleed into that. Wash your brush because it's going to carry a lot of pigment. Pick up some of that paint, and you watch the difference now. So obviously, if you're trying to paint something cool, you let that dry. You see it's drying quite quick. Then you go over it and over and over and keep building that colour up. That's your 2 major differences, I think. But if you try and cover everything with this really thick one, see, that medium lets you sort of reactivate it and move it around. I'll do a little video on using medium. I keep promising Rich I'll do that. But consistency wise, depending on what paint you're using, but I think the general rule of thumb is if you put a little bit of medium when you got the paint out, or a little bit of water in there, it's going to run better for you. I hope that helped. Watch lots of videos, decide what colour you want to paint over. Some people like having a black undercoat, some have a grey. I don't use distilled water for my wet palette. because I wash it out regularly and wash the cloth out. But if you're going to keep it in there for any length of time, you would distilled. But ordinary water is okay. They're a good speed paints are a good tool. What's doing this? We're going to grab some orange. We're going to do that spider's knees. Yeah, speed paints are good, but I'd start with ordinary paints and then get yourself a few speed paints to play with. The difference between GW and AP is, I think, that it's a personal preferences, but I think there's some very good GW ones, but there's also some very bad GW ones. But I find consistency wise, the army paint ones are all good, if you know what I mean. Okay, just jazz that spider up. But the speed paints are interesting. They're a bit different, but play around with other paints, get used to doing layering and stuff like that. Watch lots of videos, subscribe to people, ask messages in chat rooms. You're doing all the right stuff. Yes, we did. Yeah, last week's live paint along, I used loads and loads and loads of speed paint. Let's give this rat some pinky pink legs. Let's go for dark pink. It's horses for courses, though, isn't it? So, you know. I had this very discussion earlier on with someone about the new army painter have put their speed paints into like marker pens. I think AK had them as well for a little while, haven't they? Which look great fun. But as I'd say to people, really, you want to learn how to paint first, and then you will realise when you can use speed paints to your advantage, not the other way around. Okay, so the flesh is done. We've done one layer of the brown, we've done one layer of each colour. When I was painting some of these up earlier, if you look at the white in that, there's 6 different layers of white to build that up, and there's 6 different layers of white in there. So it's kind of important that you learn how to layer that up. It's not something you could do with speed paint. So yeah, so we've used 2 browns on that main one, so let's go to the third brown, which is going to be Tree Ancient. And what we do is, this is for that top piece of brown. Get some medium in there. That's just one brushful. And then we're going to go for all these ridges. Just going to go down them. And we're going to go stay on the peaks, avoid the valleys. That's how we do it. So the peaks. So all the valleys stay all shadowy and our original darker colours. And as we come back in with the lighter colours, we start highlighting it up. So we're not looking to paint the whole of that area again, we're looking to paint the bits that are pointing towards the sunshine. and the higher peaks. Oh, let's let it focus again. So if you see on his arm, you've got these peaks, but that next bit's a trough, a valley, so we leave that, and we come back onto the peaks. Does that make sense? Are we all painting our peaks and valleys? Yes, Pirate Rich. Did you see the stills on Facebook, Andy? The archers we did last week. I did them so much faster than I thought I was going to do. I was quite confident that I'd get them done in the time where I'd give myself extra time anyway. And then I kind of got really mega focused on it and really smashed them through. So now we're starting to lose that. Do you know we had that sketchy, weak looking brown earlier? Now we're starting to build up. A lot of richness in the colour. Right, so we've done bootstraps. We're going to go for leather brown for the next one. This is for that middle section of cloth. This means we've done 3 layers of brown. Again, as we look at that middle, we're looking for these higher ridges. So our peaks, the edges. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to leave distilled water in a wet palette for a long time before it went off. It's different if it's very sunny. That's why I don't bother, because you can only leave, most papers only last a couple of days anyway. So as long as you clean your palette out when you change your paper, you'll stop any horrible mold or stuff growing in your palette. That's what you want to avoid. And it won't be, the water won't be in there long enough to get stanky. Yeah. Always use distilled, like if I'm mixing, making my mediums up and stuff. Yeah, it's the way you got to do it, isn't it? I mean, paper to me is like a nearly like an everyday thing anyway. Where I'm doing so much painting, so it never really gets left. Sometimes it's 2 days if I'm doing a big commission. I'm using the same paints over and over again, but never more than 2 days usually. Right, our next grey up in the scale is uniform grey. So we've spent an hour on him so far, so he's getting there. I'm going to add, and these base colours are almost done now, aren't they? And just over his knees, going to catch some lighting coming down the centre of these peaks. Pardon me. There we go. And then we'll just pick out some of the edges of this stone. We'll just pick the brush up and down to sort of make little random bits lighter. We grab a nice lighter green. Pick out some highlights on that base. Hello, Black Country Apex Nerd. Wow, that's a mouthful. Oh, you're in deep trouble. We waited ages for you to come onto the stream. No, welcome. All are welcome. Do you want me to roll what we're painting tonight quick for you? We've been painting the Saga Age of Magic Orc warband, which is the Horde, or can be the Horde. And this is the warlord for it. And what I've grabbed from Gripping Beast is one of their priest miniatures. And he's based on the Vikings Lick My Hand seer guy, as you can see. And he's usually got this staff. But I thought I'll use him as my warlord, so I've given him a nice axe. Found an old head. I did have a human head on there, but I thought the boar one was much more interesting. So we're quite a way into the colour schemes, as you can see. I'm just going to highlight the gold. So we did ordinary greedy gold. Was that good? Was that a quick catch up? Are you with us now? We're getting to the juicy part, really. So I'm going to grab my old brush, because always use a rubbish brush when you're painting. Oh, because that's a weird hair. It's jumped all over the brown now. Let's get that off quick. What happened there is there was a stray hair that was obviously picked up off the bench, and it flicked the gold over there. So load some of the bright gold in, and that other gold's got like flesh wash over it to make it look all tarnished. And we'll just pick out some of the higher areas to make it look shiny again. There we go. That's simple. So let's do another brown. We've done oak brown, tree. Let's go for dryad brown. This is probably going to be as light as we're going to take that top one. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to grab some medium out the palette. Thin the brown down a bit. Thin your brown down. And we're just going to catch. See, I'm just touching the brush down, because if I paint it across once like a line, it's not going to build any texture into the painting. But this is the highlight, so I just want a little areas that are a lighter brown, and it's going to leave us a lot more. There's a bit too much water in my brush then. Touch a little tiny bit on these top edges of those high bits. say, don't, at this late stage of highlighting, less is definitely more. So I don't want to go anywhere past that top edge, so maybe a little bit at the bottom. It won't even touch his back there because you think the light's coming down. So a bit along the bottom edge of there, but no up under there. Maybe a bit. I'm using the side of the brush there and doing like a kind of like an edge highlight you do on a Space Marine, really. Moving my brush around, looking where it'd be neat. I always work imagining my lamp is where the sun would be. Just go back round. That's fine. And then we grab. I've done leather brown, so I'm happy with that's light enough. I'm happy with that grey. Let's use some of this light grey on there, Mr. Piggy. I'm just going to pick out these ridges on his snout, and then pick out his snout. I might go back and paint his snout black or pink or something. Would a grey boar have a pink snout? Well, probably have a black one, wouldn't it? Just letting the brush dance across that fur, so it's kind of like almost like the same style as a dry brush, but my brush is not dry. So it's over paint. What we call it, over painting. And I'm just going to look around that grey bit at the bottom, anywhere where I think it should be a little bit brighter. I'm just touching it in. Okay, so now I'm just going to grab some matte white. Also going to grab our Psycho. It's Psycho brush time. We should have a little tip tapped on. Bit of medium in it, so it's nice and wet. Pick up some white. Take some white out of my brush on the thing, so it's just a little tiny bit. And then I'm going to paint that eyeball in. I'll grab some more white. Dog is snoring. And he's kind of got a wrecked eye on the other side, which is good. Well, not for him, but it's good. It's going to make it look different. I was going to give him a red eye, but I'm going to stick with the. I'm going to stick with the white eye. And then get some black on board. I just thought it'd be interesting to have. Can the camera pick that? Let's see. Just about see it on camera, I think. Ooh, I hope there's nothing rude going on there. Okay, so we've done uniform grey, so I'm just going to go for ash grey so I can do some highlights on the piggy head. I'll just kind of pick up a few areas, just like on that eyebrow there, top of the ears. I think we're going to go for a black snout. What do you think? Pink. Let's go black. How's that look? He's not a happy chap, is he? That's I do like it. It's one of my favourite Griffin Beast miniatures. It's a real cracking miniature. Okay, so we're gonna go grab some. Oh, let's grab some ancient stone. This is gonna be for like bone and stuff, but it's a couple of tones darker. I'm just gonna use it for his tusks. I'm going to just water it down a bit. I'm going to highlight this string, so we're not going to start right up under there. We're going to start sup out a little bit down and then get off of it, and then on and off of it, just so it, there we go. You see what I mean? So you're not painting it all the way down it. It's just all showing some of the we got that on the brush. We're just gonna find the skull on the base and just paint the upward facing bit. Then we want the axe, and all we did prairie ochre, so let's jump it up to desert yellow. Pigtail and rat. Would be enough to make you grumpy, I suppose. So I'm just going to hit that very top edge that's upwardly facing, and then leaving all the rest dark and dirty. Okay, not going around the bottom of it. So basically, he's done. So that's an hour and a half. But now, you know, we're going to play with this. Here comes the fun part. Innit? Do you think? What I have bought. Let's put the lid on the wet palette for a minute. Have you seen? I've used Down and Dirty, Rust, etc. before. But have you seen Down and Dirty, Gore, and Snot? This stuff. We'll get a stick. Use it in a well ventilated room because it's very stinky. Okay, so we're going to come off the end of there and we're going to pull it about. Got a bit much on there. It's kind of stuff you get everywhere if you're not careful. Kind of just anchor it on. Oh, sorry, Kubla. I should have done a warning, shouldn't I? Warning about to goop blood and snot everywhere. You kind of got to get it anchored. Once it's anchored on, you can then we'll go over the top on this because you can. Because why not? It's my miniature. If I want to act like I'm 12, I will. It's good stuff, isn't it? Let's just do another big stretch. And a gloop. There we go. That's probably as much goop as I can get away with putting on without it looking silly. It does need a bit around the back there. It doesn't last amazing. It will get damaged and break off this stuff, but it's good fun while it's there, isn't it? To wash the stuff off, you do need some solvent thinners. I won't do this not. That's for when you're doing something that's being bitey and it's got like goo between its teeth. Goo between its teeth? Is that? You know what I mean. So let's have a look what we've got. First of all, we'll paint. Paint our victory lap. And decide if we're going to do any more. I usually put the blood effect on after I've lacquered because obviously there is some gloss to it. So I'll lose a bit when I do my matte lacquer. I think we need to put a little bit of rest on there. Let's show you the down and dirty rest because that's very different to the army painter rests. I should have been warming this up. When this one works better warm, so I usually stick it in my pocket while I'm painting. Yeah, this is down and dirty rest, which is water soluble. I just wanted a couple of dots of rest on his axe. It wouldn't really be an orc without rest and stuff everywhere, would it? This acts very differently if you put water in it and stuff, but I will try and do a video on using that. And because we're having a down and dirty session, we've showed you the other ones. There's 2 more, which is a verdigris one, which is very different from the Games Workshop one and the Army Paint, which was very similar. This is a lot more darker, I suppose. This is a verdigris for the, which let some of it run into the gaps. All these down dirt ones, in fairness, you're better off doing after the lacquer. Although you can reactivate some of these, so I say there is a ball bearing them, and you should have it rattling around, but it's going to take too long, so we'll go with that. And this is moss. The moss, actually, I've found it works better if, instead of using it straight out of the pot like this, if you wet an area. So if you put some water down there, that's medium, and then run it in, it kind of sits in the gaps, and when it dries, it looks better. You can do that with the rest as well, and it sort of about these ones, I think the best. The rest is really good, but as I said, it's a little bit limiting how you can use it. So I tend to use the Army Paint one more, even though it's very good. The verdigris, I tend to use the Games Workshop because I just prefer the lighter look of it. Although this one's probably more realistic. But definitely the blood and the gore I like. Right, so let's have a look at what we've got. There's a 1 hour and 35 minutes of painting. And we've got our crazy warlord. I just remember to put a little bit more blood over the top of the head, but it's probably enough, in fairness. Unless somebody wants to encourage me to put some more blood on there, I think that'd be enough. Nope, no encouragers. Okay, that's enough blood then. All right, so there we go. That is our warlord stroke priest for horde. So next week we will be doing, hopefully, starting the Eco-Jaya 100-Year War warbands. There's going to be 4 of those. So I think there's 3 infantry and 1 mounted. So there'll be sort of front rank finishers mainly. Oh, thank you, Cubes. I'll do my usual. I'll get him in the. I'll put some tufts on that side as well. So, yeah, I'll get a photograph of him in the morning in the light box, put him on our Facebook page as forever, and then I will do a quick video showcasing the whole warband that we've painted, so we can have a look at it all together in one lump. Lovely, thank you very much. So yeah, that's our warlord, our grumpy warlord. So thank you for joining me. If you're watching this back tomorrow and you've not subscribed, if you could help us out, drop a subscribe and a like and hit the notification bell. Don't forget to check out our other channel, which I must do a new video for, which is Pirate Rich Plays, which will be unboxings. There's going to be a few Griffin Beast unboxings soon. Yep. Cheers, Kubli. You won the room tonight. #1 king of the chat. Oh yeah. I think that's it, guys. Unless there's any other questions before I go, I just have to say, have a lovely bank holiday weekend. Hope you have a nice break, Rich, if you're still with us. And we'll see you all again soon. Watch out on Gripping Beast for the notifications for the Kickstarter for Ecorgère. And see you next Friday. And then the following Friday, I believe it's Newbury show. Alright. Alright, cheers then, guys. I'm going now. I've waffled on long enough. Thanks for joining me, guys. Oh, alright, Rich. Just in time to say goodbye. Have a good weekend, mate. Have a good rest over the weekend. And we'll see you all again soon. Again, we're doing our Ecorgère paint jobs from next weekend, next Friday. Alright, guys. Thanks for joining me. Have a good weekend. Cheerio.